Hello Flosstube, my name is Kristen, and if you are new here, this channel is about my experiences with my cross stitch, the good and the bad. If you are returning, I appreciate you coming back to spend some of your time with me. Today is August 2nd, so this is a recap of my July progress, which was a month of focusing on my Lord of the Rings charts. I do have a little bit of haul, which I don't usually have, but I had some Stitchy kindness. I got to one new thrift store, and I had some really good success on Marketplace, which is what I'm going to start with all of that. So I finished Lilith quite a while ago, and I'm in a lot of cross-stitch related Facebook groups, but I'm in a Mirabilia buy, sell, and trade, and I just thought I'd just throw it out there and see if anybody was open to trading for Lilith. And I had put out a couple of ideas of either equal or lesser value charts that I might be interested in. And then another member that just was very kind and just said, I will send you this certain chart. You don't have to give me anything in return. And I said, that's amazing. So what I did was I just gave Lilith away to any other member, the first member that wanted it, who was also very kind and said, they had some doubles. They'd be willing to send me something. And I said, let's just try to pay it forward again. Let's see how long we can keep it going. So hopefully that train kept a rolling and people just kind of passed on that kindness. So what I did receive was a copy of Forest Goddess. I thought she would be kind of like a nice companion to the Cathedral Woods Goddess that I've already started. And this picture does not do her justice. I've looked her up to see her stitched, and this looks very gold and yellow, but it's just got a lot of deeper green tones and things. So this picture is really not capturing her. And not only did this lovely lady send me this chart, she surprised me and also sent me the beads and the Krennic. So I think she is watching, so thank you very much. That was very kind. And I popped into a thrift store, as I said, one I hadn't been to before, really because they were they're moving, so they were having a 50% off sale. I never go in with any expectation, and this is just something small. And it was just, this is not really exciting. It's just a piece of plain 18 count, which I like 18 count. And then, well, I got this because I was excited. It was cross-stitch related and it was dragons, which I love. But it's all mostly black work, which I would probably be terrible at since I'm not very good at backstitching. Anyway, we'll see. This is the multi-dragon chessboard from Doodlecraft Design. And it was only 25 cents. So that makes me super happy. And it also came with it, as you can see at the top here, it says 100, well, it says upside down, but it says 129%, which I'm guessing is this. They had a copy made. That's huge. So it could be, I thought about maybe just try and make one of the dragons just to see how I do. Because it's not particularly terribly huge. It's just 342 by 342. But for 50 cents for both of those, you couldn't go wrong. Then I scope Marketplace once in a while just to see if I can find anything, especially anything local, which I have a couple times. And these popped up, and the seller does have other stuff that if it's still there, she's about an hour and a half away. I'm actually heading towards that side of the state to do some camping later on this month. And if some of the things that I didn't want to be too greedy, buy everything that she had, because I really don't need anything. But these were super reasonable, and most of them fairly hard to find. And I did, just in case anybody wants to complain, not only did I message her and ask her before I offered, told her the ones that I wanted, that she might want to unlist them and search a little bit to see what she could get for it. I double asked her in person, like, are you totally sure? She knew what she had. She's not a stitcher. They were given to her for nothing, and she just wanted to sell them. So I grabbed a few of them. So I got seven charts from her. I got a copy of Lavender and Lace's Santa of the Forest. I've seen this one being stitched. It's really cute. And then I also got a copy, of Lavender and Lace's Gift of Peace. Not sure if I'll stitch them. I might destash them. Sorry, I just lost the cover poster of or cover picture of this one. Then I got some Mirabilias. So I got a copy of Crystal Christmas. I had to look this one up, and one of the other ones I wasn't really that familiar with. That's pretty cute. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different kinds of beads, 3 Krennic, and 2 Rainbow Gallery. So there's a, well, Crystal Christmas. There's a lot of beads on that one. Then I also got Snow Days, which is kind of cute. I'm not sure. I've seen it stitched without this outer border, and I think I like it better without that outer border. This one's not too bad, but it does have 4 beads, 4 water lilies, a Rainbow Gallery thread, and 1 Krennic. So there's a lot going on in that one too. These next 2 I'll probably keep for myself. This is Elizabeth in the Lavender Sky, which of course I've been researching them a little bit more, and I saw a nice kind of a cool conversion of her with more blue tones in her dress, which I thought was really pretty. And that is just all DMC. This one I'm definitely going to stitch. This is Waiting for Ships. Although I find that the really dark blue treasures kind of, I don't know, for me they're a little bit jarring. So I actually looked up, because you can't tell quite in this picture, but there's some purple tones in her fin. So I found some like darker amethyst, similar shaped treasures that I thought, just for me anyway, would make my brain a little happier. So that was a super exciting find. Oh, nope. And then I also found a copy of the Enchanter from Dimensions, which I haven't compared the sizes, because I also have Magnificent Wizard, which I'm going to show you because it's one of the whips I forgot to show you at my whip parade last month, which I might start over because I'm not happy with the fabric that came with that kit. So that was my haul. So I'm pretty excited about that. So speaking of missing whips, why don't I just show you those? And I'll start with that one because I already mentioned him, which I don't have. See, I will put a picture somewhere because I don't have the cover. This was a kit that I got for my birthday a couple years ago, and I started it not too long ago in one of my months of fantasy, and I was just stitching it with what it came with, which is a rather stiff, not fun to stitch on Ada. Honestly, I'm not even sure which way that goes. Not that it really matters. It might go this way. It's like a wizard and a dragon, and the wizard's wand has got this beam of light of some sort, and yeah. That was the start I had on that. I might just, I'm going to compare the size of this one to the Enchanter, and I may just get even weave since I don't have that huge of a start yet, and maybe just, yeah, start them over so they're similar. Then I'm also working on, this one I've not taken out in a long time. This one usually sits at my parents' house. And this is a kit, and I'm using everything that came with the kit. And this is Verbico, I'm not sure how to say that. Jesus. And I thought about trying to swap out the fabric for like an even weave or a linen, but the way the face blends in, I was afraid I would screw up the matching of the color. And so, again, I'm not super excited about this fabric, but it's working. So that's my progress on that one. Lady Lugana is a Flosstuber that I like to watch. She's in New Hampshire too, I think. And she's stitching him as well on a different fabric. So hers is looking really nice. And the only other whip that I didn't show was my only stamped project that I really just bought because, you know, if you're not home, it's just easy to... The only problem is it's 11 count, so I mean I can see it, but it's dealing with 3 strands, and I got this on Amazon. There's really no designer, but it's just like an abstract sunflower, which I really got because my youngest son, we really like sunflowers. So I believe I've got most of the center done. Yeah, I got most of the center done because I started working out into some of the orange. It's just, I'm not experienced with stamped, because every once in a while it looks like it's hard to tell which color it goes where, like they're a little off center. I mean, I don't think it matters that much. It's pretty abstract, so I don't think it'll matter if I screw this one up a little bit. Actually, I might take that one camping with me. So I don't have to bring all of my stuff. I wouldn't need the magnifier, you know, any of that stuff. So I am going to show you my July progress. I did not write all the stats down, so I apologize. And these are not going to be in the correct order. It doesn't really matter. This is my one and only modern folk embroidery chart, the Namare tapestry. Oh, I'm eating hair, sorry. And I got a teeny weeny little start. And I'm doing it 1/1 on 28 count, which is probably not the best idea for me, but I didn't want it to be too huge. So I am stitching it on 28 count Lugana for Picture This Plus in the color Dusk, I'm pretty certain. And I am using, hold on, boogers. I'm using Threadworks Mint Chocolate Syrup. I think it has a number on it, which is, in case you're curious, 10650. Pretty sure the color is mint chocolate syrup. It's like a green, almost blue, tingy color, which I thought was going to look nice. It's not a very big variegation. It's pretty light. And I don't believe I wrote this one down. No, I did write this one down. And I didn't write down how many stitches I got. So, oh well. They're tiny. So I'm trying to be extra careful that I don't have to try to frog anything, because I would have a hard time frogging that out of there. There's another one I thought about getting. Do I need more? Absolutely not. But there's what I would probably do is stitch it on a different size so they'd be close to the same size. It's more of it's an elf chart, and it's like flipped. So instead of having dark fabric, light floss, it's light fabric, dark floss, and it's got like the axe in it. It's got some, did I say elf? This is elf, dwarvish. So I thought that would be kind of a cool companion. I have them favored somewhere. I have a lot of things favored. Again, these are not in any particular order. I believe this is my Thread Geeks Love and Valor, which I did 870 stitches on this one, which brought me up to a 11.61%. I had originally started in the corner, and I worked my way over because I wanted to see the detail of the face, and now I'm just kind of going back in and trying to fill in, but I definitely I'm fighting another mistake. And again, it's because it's not gridded. And that's what I get for traveling around. But it's just within his hair, so I don't think it'll be too huge of a deal. And I know I took pictures, so somewhere I'll put where my previous progress was. I know I worked in here. I think I mostly just worked in here. And I worked in here a little bit as well, but in both places, yeah, I had to fudge stuff. But it is what it is. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. And this is the 28 count, 1/1, and I'm using CXC, which, had I known, would have gone for 25 count because it is pretty thick getting through some of there. And this is a 28 count Monaco, I'm pretty sure. And, all right, you guys, I don't even know. This is my dragonfly. I'm starting to not enjoy this. So, I mean, I didn't purposely go out to do a conversion. It's just I just grabbed what I had. It was a freebie. I don't think you can get it anymore. I had some water lilies that I had left over because I didn't use a whole skein of it from Lilith, so I thought I would use that. I didn't switch out the Krennic, which I probably should have, because now that the colors of the floss are different. But then I thought, well, maybe the contrast would look nice. Then I've been fighting with the beads. Ugh, I don't know. So this is where I am. So I thought if I brought a lighter colored bead down into the body, it would kind of make sense to have that lighter colored Krennic. But I am struggling with this section of beads. Now this is just, isn't hand dyed, right? I mean, it's just a sage Lugana. I stitched this 3 times already. And the first couple rows are fine. And I know the mill hills aren't always very symmetrical. And unfortunately, so the blue beads came out okay. The top of the green beads came out okay. And then it just kind of gets mushed in here. I don't know. This is the one I'm working on every month. And it's starting to give me a headache. Because I use Nymo, I don't have to switch while I'm doing beads, so I go from one bead color to the other. So I went from here to here. And I think I'm going to take them all out because I think I'm going to just do one less in these bottom sections. I don't know. I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think. At this moment, I want to put it in a timeout, but I'm going to give it, I'll give it some time this month, but not right now. It'll be later. And my other, well, this is another Thread Geeks. This is my monthly full coverage chart. This is Outlander, which the new spin-off show starts next week, so I'm excited to see that. And you can finally see that I'm getting to, it looks still kind of a little bit weird, but I'm pretty sure her eye is emerging in a little bit of his hair, and I've come down into more of her face. And this is 28 count, 2/1, half cross. Ooh, I got dog hair, sorry. And I did, actually, for me, I did a lot of stitches on her. I did 1,472, 27 stitches, which brought it up to 14.03%. Again, CXC on this one would not have done 28 count had I known better. So it's getting fairly thick in spots, kind of like really thick. I don't know if I can get that. So you can kind of see, I'm pretty sure that is her eye starting to emerge, but it just looks kind of like a weird light blob of her face. And so far, I don't think I've screwed this one up too bad because it's gridded. I think maybe I should just not, I usually have the TV on, but I'm usually just listening to it, or, I mean, obviously my family's here, they come in and talk to me, and sometimes I have the dogs in here. Or I just stitch when I'm tired, which is most of the time, so I don't know. I did a few days on my Gate of Moria. I cannot pronounce that designer, but it's at the top, and I'm not 100% sure that that Etsy shop is the thing anymore. And this is a 28 count charcoal Lugana using glow-in-the-dark DMC. And I worked mostly on the bottom part of this pillar, which I did reach the bottom. This is 2/2. I'm not totally sure how many days I worked on that. This is the one I think I forgot to write down. It doesn't matter. And it does really glow. It's pretty cool. The floss is a little funky, but just try not to, because every once in a while it just kind of like separates. Oops. I'm going to fold that one more time. And I got 2 more to show you. This was because it was July and I stitch on Jaws for the 4th of July. Whoops, that's not the right page. This is when I charted on Floss Cross. My plan was to not stitch any of the white, or at least not the white up here. And I just started on his nose. I've had to start this. This is the second time I've started it. And in true fashion, it's not gridded, so I screwed it up. And I did 309 stitches in 2 days on this one. There's a big hole here because I know I did something wrong and I'm trying to work my way back out and around. I don't really think it's going to matter too much. But I find myself getting more frustrated than enjoying it when I take it out. So we'll see if I continue to work on that. I'm sure by the time June comes around next year, I'm going to take it out and forget that I got frustrated. It's possible. And then the last thing that I stitched on was another new start. And I know I shared the Etsy shop. Let me see if it's on this piece of paper. Sorry about the crinkles. Oh, Stitching Coven. This is the Lord of the Rings sampler. It had a very long name that I didn't write down. So I did a center start. I got the ring done, and then I worked my way over to some of this, and then I got up to some of these motifs, and I started to do a little bit of the border. And this is on just a 28 count, I think antique white even weave. And I really enjoyed this. I almost took this back out and worked on it a second time. I don't think I wrote down how many stitches I did on this. I worked on it for 6 days though. There's a little back stitching needs to be done on that helmet. And there's enough color changes, which usually annoy me, but it didn't. I just had fun on it. And when I bought this, they sent me, as part of the downloads and stuff that they sent, a choice to pick a free chart. And there was like a lot to choose from. There was like, I don't know, like 70 charts to choose from. So I chose something very similar that is a Harry Potter one, which when I place a thread order, I just don't have fabric for that one. So I have not, nor is that in my radar for starting soon. So you guys chose for me to stitch on Joan Elliott for the month of August, which I'm going to show you what I'm going to work on. I already, well, because it's a second, I already did start a little bit of this last night. So I am working on, this was a new start when I did my month of mermaids. It's a dancing mermaid. She's not particularly large, thank goodness, because this fabric that, well, I have it still in my Q-snap, sorry. It's an underwater scene, so you can kind of see the ripples at the top and the bottom. It's called Ocean Floor from Sunflower Printed Fabrics. It is a 28 count Lugana, and that is where I'm at. I think I took it out last night. I started working in here a little bit. So you can see like the rays of the sun coming through. When I purchased it, when I put it in the cart showed me a certain dimension that it's a little smaller than that in actuality. So it's just gonna fit. And then I'm also gonna work on Celtic Twilight, which I got as a kit, but then she's re-released them as just charts. I think maybe you can get a PDF on her. I'm not totally sure. My plan is to not stitch the border. I'm just going to stitch her and her wings, see what it looks like, and if it looks like it's missing something, then I might do that. She's also charted more pinks and pastels as Celtic Dawn. She's also not particularly large. I'm doing her on 28 count Lugana in the color Barnwood from Picture This Plus. And I'm just doing everything as called for. So I look forward to working on her. Well, I look forward to working on all of them. And that also means I'm going to stitch on. I have some fun fabrics for these 4 charts. This is Madonna and Child, which I also bought as a kit, but it just came with white fabric that I'm not using. And I also may not be able to stitch the greenery in the are they doves? In the doves' mouths because of the fabric that I bought. It's pretty close to that color. Which is After the Rain by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. And it is hand-painted minus the raindrops because I thought it was busy enough. I hope you can't see through that. That's where I will be starting from. There's a couple falling leaves here and there. But now you can see why I might not be able to stitch the little greenery in the birds' mouths. Oops. And last but not least, it's actually the first one that I bought from my first Joan Elliott chart, is Celestial Dragon. I also plan not to stitch the border, which is kind of hard to see with that light, but I'm not going to stitch the border on this one. And I think I might have swapped out, because I couldn't at the time find the right colored Krennics, or like petite treasure braids. And it's just a mixture of CXC and DMC. I just grabbed what I could from Stash. I have only taken this one out once, I believe, and this is on a 28 count linen from Sweet Stash in the color Hyacinth, but I don't believe you can get those fabrics anymore. I think it goes this way. It is opalescent. It's pretty. This is the much darker half. I think I've shared before, I stitched Lilith on the other half of this fabric, which had really no blackish dark color to it at all. So those are what I'm going to stitch on this month, as well as my Outlander, and I probably will take the Dragonfly out just to yank those beads out and start again and see what I think. So as far as the month of September, I've been having you guys vote for what you want me to stitch on. So Joan Elliott got 3 votes, Ink Circles got 2, and Heaven and Earth got 2. And I'm going to throw those back into the mix, as well as some Mirabilias. So just as a refresher, we'll just go through these really quick. These are the charts I have for Heaven and Earth designs. This is Hold True by Adele Sessler. This is also on a Monaco. That's where I would be starting from. That I'm doing 1/1 full cross. That is 20. I think it's a 28 count because it's also CXC, and I'm also, having to shove it through there. And this is a quick stitch, Amy Stewart's The Phantom of the Opera. This I'm doing 2/1 half cross. This is on 28 count, but I'm using, I think, mostly DMCs on this one. That's where I would be starting. And then we have John Shannon's Mini Night Day. This is the one I have the least amount of work on. And this is 1/1 on 25 count. Full cross. I'm holding it back so you can't see all the little white specks, because the coverage is just eh. And this is my last Heaven and Earth, and the one my full coverage with the most progress, because this was my focus piece for a while. So this is John Shannon's Day Night, Mini Day Night. Also 1/1 full cross on 25 count, and that's where I am on that one. So those would be my Heaven and Earth Design month, if you chose that. Ink circles, all in one big packet here, so I've got 3 of the elemental dragons that I would be working on, and then I'd be doing a new start. Let me pull these out for you. Because I finished fire, I have earth, water, and air left. Earth. These are all on 18 count. This is Picture This Plus Jade, and I am using Weeks Dye Works on all these, and this one was, I can never remember the name of this floss. I think it's Onyx. That would be my most progress out of all these. And then there's water. These next 2 are both on Chromatic Alchemy, which is not a thing anymore. And it's P-Coat Weeks Dye Works for this one. And it's a little bit darker. It's pretty close there. And then there's also hair. And the Weeks Dye Works on this one is Eggplant. And that's the progress on that one. Again, it's a little bit closer to that. It might be a little bit darker than that in person. I like the variegation best on this Eggplant. And the new start would be Fleur de Lis, which I plan to do in all beads. But we'll see what happens, because I'm a little frustrated with beading at this point after working on the dragonfly. So we'll see. So that's what I'd be working on if you chose ink circles. And then I thought if we did a Mirabilia month that I would be doing like some of the fancy ladies. And I would probably start that, I'm going to be starting Forest Goddess, which I have a piece of fabric that I think will work. It's a Monaco. It's hand dyed by the Crazy Hamster. And it's like a light pink with some very light green. It's not showing up there at all. I thought that might work for her. And then I also will be working on my Cathedral Woods Goddess, which I am doing on 28 count linen from Picture This Plus, and I believe this is Ancient. I'm pretty sure it's Ancient. I got a big piece of this, and I did a Dragon Rise Pern project on the other half. And then we've got the Kiss. Sorry, something on there. Okay, pretty good amount of progress. This is just a big one. And this is a 28 count linen Apple Blossom, which I think is the called for. And I'm doing everything called for, except I did sub out with the help of Sharky Stitcher, who helped me figure out which delicas I could use. I got all delicas for this. So I'm looking forward to working on with those beads. Maybe it'll give me less headaches. I don't know. And last would be my Rose of Sharon. She's also as called for, except the hair. I did convert her hair to more auburn than. So she's got more Stargazer hair, mostly because I had a lot of auburn in my hair before it went gray. and I just wanted to make that change. This is a chromatic alchemy, which I love. It's a Lugana, it's opalescent, it's the color Petra, but again, you can't get it, so that's where I'd be starting on her. And that camera never picks this one up. There's really pretty like peach tones. I thought it would look kind of like stone, so that when I get to the pillars where they're not filled in, I just thought that that would look nice. But it's too bad that you can never really see the color. So that are the those are the choices. So if you want to vote, we've got Mirabilia, Heaven and Earth, or Ink Circles, and I will go with what you choose. So that's that. So I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, that's not the end of the world. I hope everybody has a good month of August. It's summer in my part of the world, so we have we've got some camping, and my kids we have a big car thing that a whole weekend of a special car show thing that we're going to go to, and some fun stuff. So I hope everybody has a nice end of their summer if it's summer for you. And otherwise, I will see you later. Bye.